I can see both. Worse, I can live them.
What if Silent Hill and Stranger Things were to have a baby? That baby would be called The Medium. The Medium is a third-person psychological horror game where you play a woman named Marianne who happens to be a medium. An individual who can travel into the spirit world. Well, if that spirit world looks something like hell. Marianne receives a mysterious phone call from a man named Thomas, who knows of her abilities and offers to explain the origin of her powers if Marianne meets him at Niwa Workers Resort. The core of the Medium's gameplay is your ability to travel between the real world and the spirit world, where doing one thing in that world affects the other. This is similar to the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver game, where you can shift between the material and spectral planes to solve puzzles. However, unlike Soul Reaver, you can see both worlds at the same time. This is a really cool feature where I would be focused on one side where I should really be paying attention to the other. The only downside of this, you can't shift into the spirit world at will. It was always scripted events to introduce new characters or areas I couldn't reach in the real world. From what it feels like, the Medium is more detective puzzle game than the horror one. The puzzles aren't too complex where you'll be scratching your head trying to figure it out, but it was enough to make me asking for a real challenge. Your only controlled abilities are blocking, discharging your energy, and foresight, and that's it. No weapons like handguns, grenade launchers, or anything like that. Where I feel the Medium begins to suffer is in its lack of tension. The only thing that could kill you is swarms of bugs and the main villain called the Maw, who is voiced by Troy Baker.
Hello? Are you alright?
Don't look at me!
The Maw pretty much does what Mr. X does in Resident Evil 2, and is constantly stalking you. These moments are tense and his voice is quite disturbing where I would recklessly just try to get away from hearing him.
Just let me.
Sadly, these moments are also scripted, and he's not chasing you throughout the entire game. There are other grotesque looking characters, but you never get to fight them in a boss battle or anything like that, but only shown through cutscenes. Near the end of its story, I still had more questions than I did answers of what was really going on in the Medium. Also the fact the game leaves you off on a cliffhanger. I feel that this game is only part of a much bigger story, and I can definitely see a sequel in the future. The game isn't that long either. It took me roughly about 6 to 10 hours to complete, although there's not much replayability for this game. If the soundtrack sounds familiar, that's because it's composed by Silent Hill's very own Akira Yamaoka. Akira does a phenomenal job using music to create the atmosphere of this game. When it's calm, you get nice soothing pianos, guitar strings, but when the creepy steel drums start playing, I know something's about to go down.
Don't leave me here.
The Medium is a good game. The two-world game mechanic is great, but wish it took more advantage than just solving puzzles. If they were to make a sequel, I would gladly jump back into the world Blooper Team has made. If you have an Xbox Game Pass, be sure to give it a try. I give The Medium an 8 out of 10.